Ashley Nicole Moss is kind enough to grace us with her presence. We just want to thank you for babysitting Brandon. Brandon Newman, our social media manager, for bringing out the best in him. I mean, he clearly was excited to be talking to you on the take line there. So we appreciate you, showing him some love and holding it down for him. It's good to see you as always. We'll start right there with Antonio
Likewise.
Brown. Michael Holly actually, at the end of the first block of the show, we talked about Antonio Brown. He said, Antonio, if nothing else, especially this week, is a content creator. Extraordinary content creator that you are, Ashley Nicole Moss.
I hope a different kind, though. I hope a different kind.
Definitely. Touche. But from the statement that he released last night to everything Bruce Arians said today, where do you come down? Because it feels like everybody's kind of picking a side in terms of who's in the right or who's telling the truth. Where do you come down?
I think with this is a classic example of two things can be true at the same time, right? I think obviously Antonio Brown does not have the best history when it comes to his indiscretions outside of the game of football. And even within the realm of football, you think of, the situation with Big Ben and then the beef with Juju when he was on the Steelers. But I don't think that should take away from the concept of probability and logic. And if you listen to what Bruce Arians said today in that press conference, and you go back a couple of days to what he didn't say or what he did say, it's not adding up. The math ain't mathin', as we like to say. But if you read that statement from Antonio Brown, yes, there's probably some exaggerations in there. I think, some stuff in there for special effect. But if you get down to logistics of it and the nitty gritty, the foundation of what that statement was, his side of the story, there's a lot of things in there that you can say, okay, that makes sense. Now, yes, you may not agree with the way that he handled what happened on the sidelines, whether it was he was being cut, whether or not he was upset about not getting touches. And I agree. I believe the part about him being upset he wasn't getting touches. But the reason why may not be as clear cut. Maybe he was upset because, as he said, they're injecting him with painkillers, pushing him out to play a game that he really does not want to play because he's not physically able. And now you're not even utilizing me. So why am I here? That could be the reason that he was upset versus, oh, he's just being a diva. I think that in between both narratives lies the truth, but I don't think that Antonio Brown, especially with what you read in that statement, should automatically be discredited when a lot of what he's saying sounds believable and a lot of what Bruce Arians is or isn't saying is not adding up.
I'm so relieved you said that, Ashley. See, Michael, you had me feeling bad. Because I was driving in the middle lane too, Ashley. Michael's in the left lane. Michael's in the left lane going 90 miles an hour, just like, this is Antonio Brown. We've seen this before. I'm like,
I got
it's
you.
in the middle somewhere. So thank you, Ashley.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to. I think you have to if you're a logical person.
Why?
Now, again, I'm not discrediting anybody.
Right.
Why?
Yes, Michael,
I'm
if you're a
not
logical
discrediting-
person.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm not discrediting anybody who is not willing or is a little apprehensive to give him the benefit of the doubt. I completely understand.
Right.
It's like the tall tale of the boy who cried wolf. Eventually when the wolf's actually coming, you're like, is it coming? I don't think it is.
Yeah.
But I think when you actually read that statement and you hear what Bruce Arians said today, and then you go back a couple of days after that game, you're looking at it like, okay, holes are missing and something's not adding up. AB may not be 100% truthful. That's a fact. But Bruce Arians definitely, his hands are dirty in this as well, and he's not being 100%.
Okay, this is what we need. This is what we need. We need some good old-fashioned reporting. I'm calling you out, Rick Stroud. Okay, Rick Stroud, I got an assignment for you. I need Tampa Bay Times.
Rick Stroud been
I think it's
killing
Tampa
it.
Bay Times, right?
It's probably coming.
No, that's the guy.
Tampa Bay Times. It's coming. Yeah, it's coming.
All right. So I don't want Bruce Arians. I don't want him quoted, not even off the record. I don't want Tom Brady because Tom Brady represents AB's side. Bruce Arians represents himself. I want other players. Give me the wide receiver room at least. Give me somebody to corroborate Antonio Brown's story because what I'm left with is, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. So I don't want to do that, but that's what I'm left with because I know Antonio Brown's history.
Let me ask you this. Is the fact or the lack of chatter coming from his teammates? Sometimes silence is the strongest answer that there possibly is. Is the fact that nobody is discrediting him. They may not be going to bat for him, but nobody has flat out come out and said he's lying. You haven't heard a teammate say, oh, it's not true. You haven't heard any of that. So does that kind of make you say, we may not be privy to everything that has transpired within this organization and these past few days of events, but the fact that nobody has come out and defended their head coach without a shadow of a doubt, and nobody has chastised a player who's quote unquote a distraction, that's telling also.
Yeah, you know what,
just
Ashley,
like my name Paul, that's between y'all.
I was gonna say, Ashley, with some people, I hope you don't have people like this in your life. I've come across some folks like this. They're not in my life, but it's almost like, don't engage them. Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. Because you get pulled into their mess, you get pulled into that vortex, and you're like, oh, why am I having this argument with them? I know where this is going. So maybe everybody's saying, all right, just let him do his thing. We're going to focus on the next game.
Last thing I'll say about this, Ashley, is this. I think if this were not Antonio Brown and it was these exact set of circumstances for a player that didn't have that history, I think probably more people will be inclined to see, if not the gray, his side of the story, because we've gotten to a point where we're more open and accepting talking about players and playing hurt and players' rights. And he played into that narrative in his statement. But it's Antonio Brown. I think that's what's giving most people pause. Like, I'm not about to fall for that banana in the tailpipe. Your organization, as in the Cowboys, your favorite team, as we all know, fans of yours and friends of yours
your
know,
organization
does not have these issues right now, but issues nonetheless, or at least, they kind of were brought back down to earth last week. You got your Eagles. You got the Eagles, a playoff team. Who knew that they were going to go into playoffs this year? Eagles this week to wrap up the season at Philadelphia. And there's the possibility, albeit remote, that the Super Bowl could be moved from Los Angeles. A lot of people are talking about, could the Rams be a home team in the Super Bowl? Maybe the Cowboys, if the stars align, could host the Super Bowl. Like, how are you feeling as the regular season draws to a close?
They did so well last time. Dallas did so well last time hosting the Super Bowl.
I got to do the Birdman hand rub and just like, listen, Dallas is a great city. Regardless of whether the Cowboys are in the Super Bowl or not, Dallas is a great city. I visited. I had a great time. But it would be amazing for the Cowboys to play in a Super Bowl at Jerry's World. And that's the first thing that came to my mind when I heard they could possibly be moving it. And I can understand, the desire to do so. Everybody who's going to, be attending in some capacity, whether you're working, whether you're just attending for fun, you want to be able to do so in somewhat of a normal environment. And if, the restrictions in LA and the numbers and stuff like that are not going to be conducive to doing that, I think it's a smart decision to kind of postpone LA getting a Super Bowl and just move it elsewhere, just from a logical standpoint. Cowboy fandom aside, it makes sense. Now, that's a decision that obviously needs to happen sooner rather than later. It is January 6th, so time's a ticking, but yeah, I mean, I'm all here for Cowboys raising that Lombardi in Jerry's World. That would be a moment. I am here for it. Fingers crossed. Speaking to the football gods, manifestation is powerful, and I'm putting all my energy into it.
All right. So listen, I know you love the Cowboys, and you can see all the gifts that they have. But tell me the one thing that you're concerned about, like your top concern with the Cowboys heading into the postseason. What is it?
It's definitely the offense, and it's so crazy as a Cowboy fan to say that's my concern, because usually it's on the other side of the ball. But I think, what we're seeing from the offense is when Dak first came out immediately after, the top of the season, no preseason, fresh off an injury or rehabbing the injury rather, you said, there's no way he's going to be ready to go game one. And game one, he came out and gave Tampa Bay a run for their money. Obviously, we ended up losing that game, but he looked phenomenal. The offense looked great. I think though what happens is that you get a level of comfort knowing that if anything happens, your defense can bail you out. And I think that's why we're seeing a much more lax Dak Prescott. I also think that the play calling is not conducive to surprising anybody, things like that. But I think in terms of him, he knows if I go 3 and out, my defense can get me a 3 and out, and I'm getting that ball back. But defense still wins championships. I believe in that. But there's another side of that conversation. Your offense has to be able to put up points on the board and do so against really good teams. The Giants aren't going to be in the postseason. The Washington football team isn't going to be there. So as much as, a 56-point game or win for you is a great bragging rights, that means nothing when the regular season is over, because now you're facing legitimate teams who are just as good, if not better than you are, and you have to play a different kind of football. So that's definitely a concern that they don't seem to have their foot on the gas when it comes to offense.
Ashlyn and Nicole Moss, thank you for getting buckets with us, certified buckets. See what I did there? Thank you for getting certified buckets with us here on Brother from Another. We appreciate you. Wherever the Super Bowl is, we will certainly see you there. Until next time. Appreciate you.
See you in LA. See you in LA. That's what we're gonna look. We'll put that out there. LA. We need not Dallas. Sorry, Ashley. I mean, what? You're like, how about the Cowboys can be in LA, but we don't want to see the Cowboys in Dallas. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.